So we're going to be rolling our pectoralis major muscles in this video. And I highly recommend that before you roll your pecs, that you do some sort of before and after so you can see and feel the difference with what you've done to your body. So I recommend that you look at yourself in a mirror. And when you're looking in the mirror, you're looking at where your arms actually hang. Ideally, our arms should hang with the palms facing in towards the hips and the thumbs facing forward. Ideally, what we don't want this with the palms facing behind you and the shoulders rolled forward, a very common posture that we see. So look at yourself in the mirror and see where your arms hang, because quite often after you roll the pecs, what you might see is that shoulder has actually changed position and is back into a little bit more neutral alignment. And another thing that I recommend you do is some sort of before and after movement. Say you're a golfer, you could just pick up your club, swing, notice the rotation that you have in your thoracic spine, notice how your shoulders feel, notice how your neck feels as you take a big golf swing, and do that before and after. Or you could just do something like a stretch. There's one on the same page of this video that you're watching that's called thoracic rotation. So I want to talk about some bones and just the basic ideas of rolling before we get going. So I want you on your own body to palpate, to touch your body so you understand where the bones are that we're landmarking. So we're going to be taking the ball and we're going to be going up the breastbone. And the breastbone is quite a broad bone. And there's a right side and there's a left side. It goes all the way up here to the little hole at the top of your neck called your sternal notch. And we are going to be taking the ball and rolling it up one side of that bone, ending at that little hole at the base of the neck. Word of caution here, there's a little bump on the bottom of the breastbone. It's called your xiphoid process, and it's a little piece of cartilage. It's not actually bone. It kind of hooks underneath. We don't ever want to put the ball there. We always want to be on the actual breastbone going up. So we're going to be rolling up the side of the breastbone, laying on our tummies. That's our first roll. Then our second roll, we're going to be pressing, ladies, you got to press the breast tissue down as much as possible. And I really recommend that you don't wear a bra if possible, or at least wear a very loose fitting bra with no underwire. Guys, you have it made in the shade. You're just going to be starting as low as you can on the breastbone, but again, not on that xiphoid process. And we're going to be slowly rolling the ball outwards. We'll be laying on our tummy and we'll be going out into the armpit area. And I just want you to feel there's this big, huge muscle, your pec, and it kind of converges underneath your armpit, and you should be able to grab a hold of it. And then it becomes a tendon, and then it comes into your upper arm. And it comes into a place on the upper arm called your bicipital groove, which is this little divot. And I can actually dig my fingers in there, kind of wiggle them in there. And it's kind of a sweet spot. You should be able to feel it. So the pecs come in from the front here, the lats come in underneath the armpit from the back and attach here as well, as do your bicep muscles. So it's a real convergence of many different structures, and we're going to be thoroughly stimulating that bicipital groove. So we start at the breastbone where the pecs originate from, and we go out into the armpit, and then we finish in the upper arm where they attach. So the third roll is starting higher than we were before. So our first pec roll, we're coming out this way and out into the arm. And then the second one, we're starting higher. And you're going to be landmarking just where that sternal notch meets the top of the breastbone, meets the collarbone. That's where the ball is going to be. It's going to be higher than it was on the lower roll. And the pecs don't attach all the way out along the whole collarbone. They only attach about 1/3 of the way out. So we will be rolling the ball just 1/3 of the way, just along the bottom ridge of the collarbone. And then from there, we'll be going downwards so that we stay in the pecs. And then we'll be going out again into the arm. I'm just going to bring you down on the floor. And we're going to be starting laying on our tummies. grab your ball as I fidget with my camera. All right. So we're going to start. Ladies, you got to pull the breast tissue out of the way. You're starting as low as you can. We're going the right side of the breastbone. And you simply just get on top of the ball as best you can. And then we take the hands and we interlace them and we pressure the hands into the ball. So I'm actually physically pushing the ball into my breastbone. And then I just take my toes and I just kind of tuck them under a little bit so I can use a little bit of leverage to just go up and over. So I'm now on top of the ball. I'm not behind the ball. So just make sure you're on top of the ball. That gets maximum body weight on top of the ball. You're on the right side of the breastbone. And then you're just simply relaxing. And when you relax, I really want you to let the weight of your head be supported. We don't want to be holding the neck up, creating strain and tension in the neck in order to release the pecs. That defeats the purpose. So you could support your head with stacked fists or stacked palms, or you could have a pillow, but just have something there to support. And now we're just going to breathe. We're going to inhale and create space from inside and exhale and just relax and melt your body around the ball. So we are looking for 3 to 5 breaths in each position to get a full release, to let everything melt and relax around the ball. And you can always stay for longer if you feel like you have more to release there, but that's our basic guideline. And now we're going to move. So I call it lizard hands. Your hands are down beside you and your elbows are up off the floor. And when we move, you want to pressure your chest into the ball. So I'm looking for the ball actually to squish a little bit. And then we move downward and the ball moves upward. So I'm moving down and the ball sneaks up a little bit on my breastbone. I make sure I stay on the right-hand side. But now I'm behind the ball. So now we do that. Interlock the hands again. I press the ball into my breastbone. And then I just do that little quick up and over so that I'm on top of the ball. I'm not behind the ball. And again, you're still on the right side of the breastbone. And then you just relax. So we're just going to be inching our way up the breastbone. And depending on how tall you are, how long your breastbone is, it can take 5 to 7 moves to do the entire breastbone. So again, we're just going to relax and breathe here. When you're on bone like this, a big broad bone like the breastbone, it might feel pinchy, it might feel uncomfortable. Doing release work with some sort of myofascial tool is very different than stretching. You might feel warmth, tingling, pressure, whooshing, all sorts of things. The main thing is that we don't want to feel any zinging of nerves. If you feel anything neural, anything that's kind of zinging, just means you're on some nerves, so you would come off of it and reposition. All right, so we're going to move again. Getting our lizard hands. Now, again, you pressure into the ball, you squish the ball, you take a breath. And as we exhale, we move down an inch and the ball moves up an inch. I'm heading towards that sternal notch on the right side of my breastbone. And now again, I'm behind the ball. So I take my hands around the ball. I pressure the ball into the breastbone. And then I'm coming up and over. So I'm on top of the ball and relaxing. So we're just taking our time here. We're basically stimulating all of the costal cartilage here. And this can become a very calcified and rigid area as we age. So if you are finding this to be particularly uncomfortable, just know that likely you need a little bit more work in this area to get more nutrition and circulation to the bone and just get things to loosen up that might have gotten a little bit calcified over time. Do a little body check. Make sure that you don't have your bum squeezing or any tension in your low back. If you had any tension in that low back area, feel free to put a little pillow or something underneath you. We don't want to tolerate any type of pain anywhere in the body. What we're looking for where the ball is comfortable discomfort. We're not looking for a 10 on a pain scale. We're looking for a 6 or 7 that begins to dissipate to maybe a 4 or a 5 over time. All right, we're going to move again. This is going to be the last move to come up to the breast, to come up to the sternal notch. We've got the lizard hands. We're pressuring into the ball, taking a breath. As we exhale, we move down, the ball moves up. And now you can see I'm way behind the ball, so I'm pressuring in, and then I'm coming up and over to be on top of it. And I'm ending right at my sternal notch, that little hole at the base of the neck to the right side of it. And relaxing and just breathing. Breath is a huge part of myofascial release. You're breathing from the inside, creating space from the inside. Every time you inhale, you're creating space, a widening idea internally. And then as you exhale, you're relaxing and you're just melting into the ball and allowing the body weight to do the work. Because that's what this is all about, your body weight doing the work. So let's do one more breath there in this final breastbone roll up position. Breathing into the ball. All right, so that was our first roll. That is the breastbone. Now, second roll is we're going to be doing the pec proper. So I'm going to be starting as low as I physically can. I'm still on the right side. I'm going to angle a little bit this away. So I'm starting as low as I can, but not on that xiphoid process. I'm on the outside edge of the breastbone, which we've already been, but we're there again. And then I'm just going to show you what my left leg is doing. My left leg, I've got the hip crooked and the knee crooked, kind of like an L shape. And that just helps the pelvis stay a little bit more neutral. So my left hip and knee are bent. And then I've got my right arm out to the side because that's the side that we're doing. And then I make sure I'm on top of the ball, I'm not behind it, and then I'm supporting my head down on the floor. And then we're just hanging out and relaxing. So you're on the outside edge of that right breastbone. And now we add some arm movement. So we're going to keep the arm passive. It's going to stay on the floor. And you just take your time. So I'm going to slowly take my arm up over my shoulder. See what that feels like. So fascially, the pecs attach, both the pec major and the pec minor attach down your front of your arm, all the way down through the forearm, through the carpal tunnel, and all the way out into the hand. So when we add movement of the arm, we are affecting that whole fascial line. So you can continue to take that arm overhead, kind of like a rainbow, and see how that feels. You can take it as far over as you want to reach it, and just know that you're really affecting all the myofascia that connects all the way down that arm for the health of that whole superficial front arm line. And I'm just continuing to move my arm now and slowly bringing it down beside my shoulder. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring it down beside my hip. And when I get to my hip, I'm just going to turn the palm to face the ceiling, and I'm going to bring my arm behind. And it can come right into the small of your back if you can comfortably get it there. If not, it could just rest on the back of your right buttock, or it could be just on the back of your thigh, whatever you can manage. But we're taking that arm now into a little bit of internal rotation. And then we're just going to think about the shoulder blade moving. So the shoulder blade is quite a large bone. It's the bone where many 16 muscles attached to that shoulder blade, and that shoulder blade should be able to move. So we're just practicing, seeing if we can get that shoulder blade to glide and slide and roll around a little bit. All right. Now that right arm's going to come back out to the side where it was, in line with the shoulder. The left hand is going to go to that lizard hand with the palm on the floor, and we're going to move. We're going to come off the breastbone. So I'm going to move to the left, and the ball's going to move to the right. We keep constant pressure on the ball, and we're trying to provide a traction-like pull out towards the arm. So we take a breath to prepare. And as we exhale, we slither like a snake. I move to the left and the ball moves to the right, and you come off of the breastbone. And now you're going to be sitting on your ribs and on your pecs proper. Now just hang out there and see what that feels like. And again, we're looking for, on a scale of 1 to 10, we're looking for a 6 or 7 of discomfort that dissipates to a 5 and a 6 and a 4. And if it doesn't, that means that you need to take some air out of your ball. Okay? It's not a no pain, no gain type of a thing here. We don't want to tear the myofascia. We don't want to be aggressive with the myofascia. There's many layers of it. We just want to breathe into those layers, and we want to create some shear between the layers by moving the arm so that we can bring some fresh crystalline water on a deep cellular level to that myofascia to help it hydrate. So now again, go ahead and just move your arm and just kind of play around. You can kind of do whatever you want. You could just reach the arm out on a diagonal and relax it. It can be small movements that I could barely see. It's a loose recipe. You just play around. You could wash the floor a little bit, circular motions. Just play around. And don't be surprised if you feel some big pulls in between your shoulder blades somewhere, because fascially the back is connected to the front. So we very often feel referral into the back. Don't worry about that. Just breathe into it. And if it's too much, again, just take some air out of your ball. So you're just playing with the arm a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and bring that arm behind in the small of my back again. It's always an option. And then again, just some shoulder movement. That shoulder blade gliding and sliding, coming up towards the ear and down and around. Breathing into the space that we're trying to create. All right, we're going to move again. So the right arm comes out to the side. The left hand is a lizard. We're pressuring into the ball. We take a breath. And as we exhale, we move to the left and the ball moves to the right. And we're making sure that we stay on top of the ball, that we're not behind it. And we're nowhere near the collarbone because that's going to be our next roll. So we want to stay as low as we can for our low stripe. And we're just breathing. You should be in a whole new space here. And because we've moved now more out towards the armpit, you're also going to be on the pec minor. And the pec minor is kind of a little bird's foot shape of a muscle that's got these kind of slips on it. And it's broader at the bottom and narrower at the top. And it's the main muscle that is responsible for the shoulders being pulled up and around the front of the body and creating that rounded shoulder posture. So when you're on your pec minor, you'll know it. It feels maybe a little bit bumpy, ropey. It feels like there's something there. And there is a whole other muscle. So now again, it's up to you. You can add some arm movement, and the arm movement is optional. Okay, you could just lie there and breathe. I'm taking my arm all the way over top like a rainbow and feeling how that now is going to affect deeply, deeply, deeply because I'm on pec major and minor. Just taking your time. There's nothing quick here. You're just exploring. There's no right or wrong. But we do know that myofascia needs movement. So any kind of little movement you can give is going to really help hydrate that fascia on a cellular level. All right, we're going to move again. So we got the right arm out in line with the shoulder. The left hand is a lizard. The pressure into the ball. Take an inhale. As we exhale, we're dragging that tissue. Now I'm heading out into the armpit. And remember that muscle, the big, huge tendinous muscle as it comes into the armpit. That's where I want you to get into. So we're not actually in the proper armpit yet, but I want you to grab a hold of that big muscle and just kind of snuggle into the front of it. And it'll feel like a big ropey structure because that's what it is. And just be there, hang out, breathe. If ever there was a time to breathe, this is the time. And just do a little body check. Make sure your hips are comfortable. You're not holding any tension anywhere else. Head is relaxed and supported. And then go ahead and do any kind of arm movement that feels like that's what your body wants. And just feel your way. So here I've got actually my elbow bent and I'm kind of sliding my hand up a little bit by my ear. And then I'm keeping my hand on the floor, but I'm bringing my elbow towards the ceiling. I'm going across that big pec as it comes into the attachment coming through the armpit. So let's do whatever you like for maybe 2 more big breaths here. Any kind of arm movement. And 1 more nice big breath. All right. We're coming up and now we're going to be heading into the armpit itself proper. Okay. So we're on top of the ball. We got our lizard hand, the right arm's out to the side. We take a breath. As we exhale, we're coming now into the armpit itself. So again, I want you to pick up that pec muscle, snuggle it into the front of the ball, and then you're snuggling into the back of the ball. I'll just turn a little bit here so you can see that's my lats that are behind, my pecs that are in front, and I'm simply just lying down here. So I'm really in the armpit itself. So I call it the snuggle. You're just snuggling into that armpit, relaxing, make sure your head is supported. And I don't move the arm when I'm in the armpit just because there's many delicate structures in the armpit. Your lymph nodes are in there. That's your waste removal system. So we just breathe here, and all we're trying to do is create space in the armpit. Just breathe. The highest lobe of your lung is in your armpit. So just think about breathing into the space that you're creating in that armpit. And let's do about 2 more nice big armpit breaths there. Breathing right underneath your collarbone. Should be able to feel the lung expanding there up into your armpit. And last breath there. All right. So now we're going to come out of the armpit and we're going to come into that upper arm to that bicipital groove, that little divot that's on the upper 1/3 of the arm. So make sure you're on top of the ball. We take a breath. As we exhale, I'm coming out of the armpit and I'm coming onto that spot on my upper arm. So what I'm looking for here is for the ball to actually squish. So I've got that little sweet spot on my upper arm right on the ball. And I'm pressing, I'm looking for the ball to squish a little bit, and then I'm going to slowly roll. So I'm thinking about pressing my arm into the ball. So it's almost like the ball barely moves because I'm pressing my arm firmly into it. And I'm just trying to wiggle into all these many tendons that insert into this bicipital groove. And sometimes you might feel a little thunk or just this kind of a little sweet spot, and you know that you're on it. So I'm going to show you for a second here incorrect. Incorrect would be this. This is just rolling my arm across the ball. So that's not what we want. We pressure in and I'm rolling, pressing in. And the arm moves and the ball squishes the whole time. So let's do 1 more pass there. We want to make sure we've done a good job of the bicipital groove. I tend to only do the bicipital groove once. It wouldn't be wrong to do it twice, but I tend to do it once. And also, the pec tendons, they don't actually all untwist unless the arm is overhead. So I also like to just take the ball a little bit overhead, up more by my ear, and just do another little pass there, because that's really when those tendons untwist. So you're pressuring that arm into the ball. Imagine you're rolling your arm over the ball. You're not rolling the ball under the body. You're rolling your arm over the ball. And let's do 2 more passes there with the arm overhead. Don't be surprised if it's a pretty sensitive little spot in that upper arm. All right, beautiful. Now we're doing our last roll, which is the high roll. So we're landmarking that bicipital groove and that whole, the sternal notch and the collarbone and the breastbone, where the 3 of them meet. It's right up here. And then we're getting on top. So do that, interlace the hands like we did before when we did the breastbone, and get on top of the ball. And you are quite a bit higher than you were before. You're much closer to your neck, but you're not in your neck. And you just find where that little hole is, and the ball is just to the right side of that, because we're still on the right side. And then the right arm is out to the side, and that left hip and knee are bent again, just to help you keep your pelvis square. And then just relax your head again and hang out. And just feel what this new position is, because now you're on a whole bunch of bone. You're on the breastbone, you are on the collarbone, and it feels a little bit different when you're more on bone than tissue. So just breathe, relax, let your body weight melt, and just accept the ball into the body. And then when you're ready, add some arm movement. And just take your time. Just feel your way. It could be something simple, just like draw the wrist back, flex the wrist a little bit. Or it could just be, I'm just going to bend and straighten my elbow and see what that does. It's all these different little subtle myofascial lines of pull. I'm going to take my arm overhead in that kind of rainbow. Feel what that does. And slowly take it out to the side. And again, just playing around. You can do a diagonal reach, a side reach, level with your shoulder. Little circles like you're washing the floor. And then let's also come behind. Take that back of the palm as best you can behind the small of the back. And do that little shoulder roll around and breathing. Your rib is underneath there. Your lungs are underneath there. And we're also affecting the little intercostal muscles that are in between the ribs, like the spare ribs. They're one of our muscles of breath. And so we are affecting those. So rolling your chest will also help to increase your ability to expand your ribs and breathe a little bit deeper, because we're releasing those little guys in between the ribs as well. All right, so we're going to take the arm out to the side, have our lizard hand, and again, make sure you're on top of the ball. And then we're going to move just one little bit more along the collarbone. So we're going to move to the left, ball's going to move to the right, and we only want to go literally 1/4 of the way down the collarbone, because the pecs attach only that much. We're hanging out here. Should be on a new spot. We're only doing what we call mini movements, micro movements. We only moved an inch or two. And then you're just kind of on the bottom of the collarbone. So we're getting the high pec major fibers that are attached along the collarbone. And then again, let's just do some arm movement. Everything we do is going to feel a little bit different than the last one. The pecs are absolutely massive. There are 17 slips of the pecs, and it is much bigger than you might think. And when you roll your pecs, you do wonderful things for your thoracic spine, helps to increase your ability to extend your thoracic spine, rotate your thoracic spine. It also helps to bring your rib cage in a better alignment on top of your pelvis. And it really helps to avoid neck pain, because when the pecs are tight, your upper body gets pulled forward with the tightness of the pecs. And then your neck and your upper back can suffer. So just continue to play around with different arm movements here. I'm going to take my arm overhead in that rainbow. And come on back. All right, so now we're going to come off the collarbone. So we're going to get the lizard hands, and we're going to lift the body up a little bit, pressuring into the ball. And I want the ball to go underneath the collarbone now. We're not going to keep going out across the top of the shoulder because the pecs don't live there. So take a breath, and as you exhale, we're going to move upward, and the ball moves downwards so that we're actually below the collarbone. If you sneak your fingers in there and feel your collarbone, you should not be on your collarbone. And now we're on high pec minor. Okay, we're on pec major as well, obviously, because it's on top, but now we're also on that little pec minor again, and he lives much closer to the armpit, so don't be surprised at what you might feel here, because there's lots going on usually. So now again, relax, that right arm's out to the side, the head is supported. Do a body check with your lower body. We just got the hip and the knee crooked a little bit just to help keep the pelvis level. Wouldn't be wrong to have both legs straight. You just kind of figure things out as long as you've got your body weight on top of the ball and you can feel what we're trying to feel, and you're not behind the ball, but you've got your weight on top of it, so we get our maximum body weight. That's all we need. And then again, let's just move the arm to see what you might feel here. That pec minor is right underneath there. That pec minor attaches to the shoulder blade, actually. Pec minor attaches the front body to the back body. I'm taking my arm overhead in that rainbow. And there wouldn't be anything wrong here that you could really do. Just keep that arm passive. Don't have that arm in the air. We don't want to be using muscles in the back to move the arm. We want the arm to be as relaxed as possible. And just that idea of the shoulder blade circling around a little bit. You can wiggle your rib cage around a little bit. It's all just kind of getting in. Think about teasing the layers apart from each other. There's all these 7 layers of the myofascia permeating and saturating the tissue all the way down to a cellular level. And the main thing that myofascia needs is time to release and get hydrated, and also movement, time and movement. So any little micro movements you can do are fantastic. So let's continue to move the arm. Let's take it around behind into the small of the back. Again, make sure you're on top of the ball. And then let's just do the little shoulder blade circles, rolling up and rolling down. This is a really good thing to do here because, again, we are on the pec minor because we're much closer out towards the armpit. Just breathe and just kind of think you're lubricating everything in there. You're getting the juices flowing. You're flushing out kind of the old crud from the cells. And then in the next 24 hours, fresh crystalline water is going to be able to come in and help to hydrate that myofascia on a cellular level. All right, taking that right arm out to the side one more time, and we've got a lizard hand. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to move one more time to the left, and I'm going to finish just in the front of my armpit there again. And just that big pec tendon again, I'm in there just a little bit differently, snuggled in there a little bit more or differently than I was the first time. And breathe. So again, it wouldn't be wrong to go out and do your bicipital groove a second time. It wouldn't be wrong to get right into the armpit again and hang out there. If you really feel like there's a lot going on in your armpit, then you know that you need to spend more time there. Um, Ball work is very individual. Everybody's different, what they're going to feel and where they're going to feel it. The key is to spend more time where you need it and to spend more time on whatever side is more challenging for you. All right, so we are going to call that done. Sit up. And remember, the best thing to do after you have done pec rolling is to look at yourself in the mirror, and you can see on me, I did my right side, and I'm not doing anything funny. I'm just showing you that my right side is back considerably further than my left. And I'll show you my arms, that there actually is a difference in my arms. The arm position has changed, and you might find the same thing too. And then again, revisiting some sort of a stretch or some sort of functional movement to see how your body generally feels. Remember, you always roll both sides, so hopefully you're going to do that right now after you end this video. Thanks for watching.